I love the way in life that I've been relegated to the dad of the twins. Like, I'm not even my own person anymore. People are like, you're the dad of the twins. I'm like, I'm still Justin. I'm still a person. But it's great. I love being the dad of the twins. I'm going to share with you a story about humility, a story about success. And like our last speaker talked about, all I know is how to be very honest. And I will be very honest for you because years ago, I used to come to places like this, hear speakers. I used to sit there and think, what is the purpose of my life? What am I meant to do? Somebody's going to tell me. Someone's going to help me. So those are disruptors, which is what we're talking about today, people that can disrupt your life. So in hopes of telling you my story, maybe that will help some of you, and then you could take it for yourself and maybe help somebody else. A lot of people have a lot of great data, a lot of great slides, a lot of great research and information. I don't have any of that, but I do have my story. So here's my family. I'm the guy who looks like me up there. I never thought I'd be the least good-looking in a group of 5, but I definitely am with my family. They're all beautiful and beautiful people. To set a little bit of context, we have, millions of followers, and I say this out of gratitude. I'm only telling you this for context, not to boast at all. On YouTube, we have 1.4 million followers. On Facebook, we have 2 million. We have a show on Facebook, a contractual show. We have a big Instagram account, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't always that way, and that's the part that I hope that you focus on. It wasn't always that way. The biggest distraction in my life for the longest time was myself. The distraction for finding love, true love, happiness, health, success. I was the biggest distraction. And specifically, my big distraction was alcohol. Probably some drugs, womanizing. Years I did this until I got fed up. And I said, I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to be that person anymore. And that was a disruptor that disrupted my life. Disruptors can be good and they can be bad, as we've seen today. A little background on me. I was born in North Georgia in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Very proud of that. I'm a Southern man, but very bucolic. My mother had me when she was 15. My father died when I was 4. He was 20. So my mother was a widow with 2 kids at 19. Life was very difficult for us. There was no privilege. We were very, very poor. Why do I tell you this? Well, things that I did not get manifested in insecurities and lack ofs in my 20s. I took it out on other things, self-abuse, trying to fix myself through alcohol, drugs, and other things. Maybe some of you can relate to this. Maybe some of you can or can't. That's what happened. By the time I was 28, I had, 3 driving under the influence. I've been arrested 5 times, rehab a couple times. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was horrible. I didn't understand, why is this happening to me? What is going on? So I used to come to places like this, and I would try to understand what's going on. Why is this happening? I was not able to handle the distractions in my life, which was me. So how did all this happen? How did all this good stuff happen? I guess I need to give myself a little bit of credit. Even though I had a lot of troubles, nobody really knew about it. I was still, successful. I had good jobs. I worked at a startup. I was an engineer. I worked in Silicon Valley. I had a very good job, and I hid all these things. Actually, I had a boss who knew I had all these problems, and I did a work furlough program where I had to go to jail at night and work during the day. I did that for 3 months, and nobody at my job new. So I was able to burn both candles at the end of the stick. Is that the right saying? I don't know. Maybe I just made that up. I don't know. So how did all this happen? In the form of a disruptor. In 2012, I was living in New York City, Manhattan. I was living in Harlem. And every night I was drunk. Every night I was living literally paycheck to paycheck. I had a six-figure income, a nice six-figure income. I had no money, no savings. I was living paycheck to paycheck, literally. I didn't have a place to stay because I couldn't get my name on a lease. I didn't have enough money to get my own place. So I was living on couches to couches to couches all through Manhattan or all through Harlem. And I guess I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, you know. I came one time to hear somebody speak. Her name was Marianne Williamson in 2012, and she rocked my world. That woman, I know she's popular right now, but man, that lady, she was the real deal. She gave a talk, and the way she talked about love and the way she talked about being a better person, it was cool. Like it wasn't cheesy. I really latched on. At the end of her talk, she said, if you're here tonight and you think that you're wasting your life, that's because you are. But you don't have to anymore. And man, I just took that inside, and I just began to think. I began to think about my distractions. Maybe it was me. The next week, and this is all a true story, the next week I was out on the town. I was online dating, so I was trying to date a different girl every night because I thought I was good looking. And I was just dating around, wasting my money, lying to women, lying to everyone. So one night, it was a Friday night, 2012, October. I come home, I'm drunk, about 1 o'clock in the morning, and per usual, I turned on Netflix, and I said, let me watch a movie. I put on a movie, it's called Unguarded, the Chris Herron story. It's a 30 for 30, ESPN, and that movie changed my life forever. In that movie, I saw myself. This guy, Chris Herron, wasted his NBA basketball career through drugs and alcohol, chasing women, being irresponsible. I related to that guy. He was like an Irish guy like me. I used to be good at basketball. In the beginning, I was interested. I was like, this is interesting. He's got a drinking problem. I got a drinking problem. He's good at basketball. There's something here. But as the movie progressed, man, I started to feel so much shame because this guy wasted his career, drugs and alcohol, couldn't get it together. And I started sitting there thinking, man, you're kind of wasting your life too, Justin. You're like 35 years old. You're not a boy. You're not a young man. This is not impressive, the life that you're living. So I started to get very interested in the movie. In the end of the movie, Chris Herron becomes a hero in his community. He becomes sober, and he's changed his life. He's helping people. He's standing tall. People look up to him, and I thought, man, that is awesome. But then I looked at myself, and I'm like, that's not what you're doing. So I started to get something and empowered myself as I was drinking wine, as I was drunk. But the moment that changed my life is in the movie, after he gets sober. He goes back to where he used to drink and drug in front of a 7-Eleven parking lot, and he said, right here is where I got drunk and passed out while my wife and kid were at the airport waiting for me. I looked at the TV, and I said, that's pathetic. And then I said, oh, wait, that's you. Because the week before that, I missed my sister's graduation because I was drunk. The next day, I woke up, and I said, you know what? Maybe your biggest distraction right now is just stop drinking alcohol. Like, just start with that. Start small. You don't have to change your whole life. Start with the one thing. So I didn't drink alcohol that day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. I haven't drank since. That movie literally changed my life. But did it change my life? Or was I at the right place at the right time that I needed a disruptor that I would listen to? There's disruptors everywhere. If somebody wants to eat better, a disruptor could be a guy walking by eating an apple. Did we pay attention to it? Do we want to be successful? There's people walking by, they look successful. Are we paying attention to that? I paid attention to that. So my story is that I had many more disruptors in my life. I was newly sober, trying to change my life, and I did something that I'd never done before. I said, I'm going to do this alone by myself. I'm going to sequester myself from people, places, things. That's how we change our lives. The people, the places we're going to, and the things we're doing. A disruptor was, people would call me up, Justin, just, come out, come hang out with us, old times, come out, come hang out. That's a disruptor. You know what I did? I got a place, finally, up in Washington Heights, Manhattan, which is the upper side of Manhattan, all by myself. And I walked the streets of New York every night because I was not strong enough on my own to change, so I thought. So I needed to remove the disruptors in my life. I had a job near Wall Street. And if you're not familiar with Manhattan, Wall Street is down here. Washington Heights is the upper end of Manhattan. And the way that I stayed sober and I changed my life is I walked every day when work ended from Wall Street all the way to Washington Heights. I just walked. I walked through the East Village. I walked through Washington Square. I walked through Times Square. I walked through the Upper East Side. I walked through Harlem. I walked all the way to Washington Heights. Every day for almost a year. In the wintertime, I got my boots on. You know what? I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I was by myself, and I'm like, I'm changing. I'm getting stronger. And the point of all this is that it took one day at a time, but I was removing the disruptors, and I was listening to the disruptors. I was removing the distractions. And then somebody said, Justin, maybe you should fix your problems. I went to therapy every Wednesday for a couple years. I went to therapy. I started getting in better shape. I started realizing that I didn't need to be in a relationship. I started realizing that I was really just an insecure person who wanted to be loved. But before I could be loved, I had to love myself. And at that time, man, I started really loving myself. I started falling in love with me. And I'm like, man, it is great to be who I am, a sober person, responsible, sleeping well at night, treating people well, not lying to people. About 2 years in, I was walking down the street in Washington Heights. This lady right there crossed my path. I started talking to her. Well, the real story is some other guy was trying to talk to her. I went to try to save her, but I really wanted to talk to her. That's the real story. I hadn't dated in a long time, over a year. I was happy. But some guy was talking to her, and I'm like, I'm going to go save this woman. In my mind, I'm like, she's beautiful. I'm going to go talk to that lady. I went up to her, and she was also at a place in her life where she was having a very difficult time. So we met at the right place at the right time. She was at a difficult place because those little girls right there were already born. And I adopted those girls. And that's emotional because it should be. And I want to feel that because I'm also very proud of it. Because for many parts of my life, I didn't think I could be a husband or a dad. Much less meet somebody and have empathy and sympathy and admire her for what she did to leave a bad relationship and raise those twins on her own the first year. I met them at 1 year. By the time they were 2, I adopted them. I fell in love with them right away. And I said, you know what? This is what I needed. Because for so many years, as I chased booze and I chased women and other things, it did not fulfill me. But those little girls did. And that lady and that woman did. She became my wife. Now we have a son. We have a good life. I've earned it. I should have a good life. What you give the universe comes back to you. For the longest time, I didn't have a good life. I didn't deserve it. I didn't earn it. All the years of drinking and boozing, I was very good at. I was awesome. I was an awesome boozer. But when I got sober, I put all that effort into being a good photographer, a very good filmmaker, a good digital marketer, a good graphic designer, understanding social media, understanding algorithms of social media. So where we are today is no accident. It's hard work. And it's a business. And it's a business I'm proud of. My kids work. They should work. When I was 5 years old in Georgia, I shucked corn. I built fences. I milked cows. Taught me responsibility. Boosted my self-esteem. Gave me a lot of confidence. And that's why my girls are rock stars at 6 years old. But they also have parents that care. So where we are now is a direct result of me removing the distractions and having a lot of humility along the way to listen to the disruptors in front of me so that I could change. We make a lot of content online. You can find us on YouTube and such, the McClure family. We are different in a way that, we don't do challenges or pranks. Not that I'm judging that material, but we try to have life lessons. We try to have positive content because the world needs it. That's what we do. That's what our brand is. Every piece of content that we make in the world makes the world either better or worse. Everything that we do, every thought that we have makes the world better or worse. There are no idle thoughts. It's cut and dry. My ego was diminished a long, long time ago. So my true intentions today are to share something from the heart so that hopefully some of you can take it for yourself and maybe pass it on. Because like I said, a long time ago, I was sitting in your seat and I needed to hear what I had to say here tonight. So I'm just giving it freely to you and hope that somebody can use it. Thank you very much.